Today I'll show you 10 visual proofs from Jesus' places, from the grounds of Bethlehem to the Mount of Olives, that change the way we read the Gospels today. Number 5 took place before pagan temples, and number 9 explains a rare medical phenomenon. Stay until the end. Number 10 connects a dot on the map to the event that divided history. You will see real evidence, places where Jesus walked, he spoke and cried, and which still exist today. Nothing invented, nothing symbolic, stone, water and ground that tell what the Gospels registered. At each point I show you the then, now and what remains, and it all begins where the story of faith took shape. Bethlehem. Bethlehem. The name means house of bread, but what few people imagine is what was this house like. Not an open barn, but story Jewish house. Above, the family, below, the space of animals, which kept the environment warm. A manger. It wasn't made of wood. Era carved into the rock, one single gutter carved directly into the ground. You can still see this in the old once caves of Bethlehem. Worn walls, rock floor, low ceiling. Nothing luxurious, nothing symbolic, real, functional, human. It's like a ground floor garage today, used to protect what is alive. And it was there in the most common place that God chose to be born. No pomp, no throne, only stone and silence. A stone remains, and every groove of it still repeats the same invitation. A greatness from God always begins, not simple. If the beginning was domestic, the next step reveals how this routine grew and sustained an entire village. We're going to Nazareth. Was Nazareth just a lost spot? Look at the excavations, semi-buried houses, wall of limestone of course, no quintal, oven, tank and marks, a folive oil press. From the door, the view of Valley de Jezreel opens as a map. Here life was simple, daily work, house built into the hill, thermal, silent, functional. The water came from tank, the bread of Theofan's hollow clay. Can anything good come from Nazareth? John 1:46. Show the excavated environment, low ceiling, niches in the rock. Points the well, cistern with worn edge, water trail on the floor. Repair no law small, signs of use on the limestone. The village is small, but the geography sustains the routine. Think of a cool cellar, stable temperature, low light. It's an energy-saving house without technology, only rock. The hill is a wall, the ground is roof that breathes. Bible plus quarry plus kitchen. Faith with the smell of bread. If Nazareth sustains the daily routine, Capernaum exhibition-based operational, the stone remains black and life goes on courtyard. Want to see? Why did Jesus choose Capernaum to live and teach? Look at the floor. Black basalt, heavy, rough. Each house was made of the same stone, glued to the other. And in the center, a courtyard common, where everything happened. Capernaum was a living base. There they met fishermen, merchants, disciples. It was the crossroads of roots, the place where message won voice. And he dwelt in Capernaum by the sea. Matt 4:13. Show the dark basalt ruins, porous, with marks of time. Just above, the white synagogue made of light stone, still standing. 2 tones, 2 eras, one on top of the other. The old one serves as basis for the new. It's like a courtyard condominium, shared life, open doors. Each house supported the other, community before temple. The black of the basalt kept the heat, as if it were keeping memory. The stone speaks, and what it says is constancy. Where the roots cross, the waters also meet. From Capernaum, we followed the course of the Jordan River, the same one that still runs today. What's so special about this river? The Jordan is not wide nor imposing, but it goes down without stopping, due frozen north of Banias until the Dead Sea, the lowest point on earth. He does not run in a straight line. He curve, deviate, starts again, and yet arrives at the same destination. The baptism of Jesus happened here, at a point of backwater, where the water slows down before falling. It's a simple place, but with eternal movement. The water passes, but the path remains the same. And it was here that the sky opened, and a voice said, "This is my beloved Son. Show the deep valley, the river that winds through the vegetation. The light reflects on the Jordan bends. The sound is constant, the same for millennia." Even with the modern tourist attractions, there are passages where silence dominates, and the water still keeps respect. It's the same course, the same direction, the same liquid history. It's like Auburn River that changes appearance but not direction. It may dry up in one section, divert in another, but the essence flows. This is what faith is like, can bend, but remains firm in the same sea. Jordan remembers that change is not loss, is a route. If the water follows, it's time to see where it comes from, and what Jesus revealed exactly there in front of pagan temples. What brings Jesus to come up here in the north, surrounded by pagan temples? The place is Caesarea Philippi, called at the time Banyan because of the god shovel. Behind every altar, caves open in the rock where the people offered sacrifices. It was the center of paganism, and it was exactly here that Jesus asked a question that changed everything. He looked at the disciples and asked, "And you, who do you say I am?" And 16-15. And Peter answered, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." In front of the stone images, the most vivid confession of faith. A cave is still there, huge, humid, with the spring gushing out at the bottom. The sound of water echoes where they once echoed voices of idol worship. The bases of the ancient temples still mark the ground, side by side with olive roots. It's the perfect contrast between what was carved by human hands and what was it created by God. It's like stating a spiritual truth in full public square, surrounded by billboards and opinions, saying, "You are the Christ." There was like raise a flag against the wind. Mass water that started at the foot of that cliff continues to run, as if confirming that the true life does not come from the altar of stone, but from eternal source. From the symbolic to the panoramic, now, from a place of confrontation, we rise to a viewpoint of peace and promise, the Mount of Olives. What did Jesus see when he looked down on Jerusalem from up here? The Mount of Olives, the whole city opens up like a golden fabric sewn by ancient stones, and the same horizon that he saw, the temple, the Kidron Valley, as walls and olive trees that are still standing, some with more than 2,000 years of age. These ancient olive trees are like living clocks of history. Their twisted trunks guard centuries of wind, dust, and prayer. Jesus prayed here and wept, looking at the city. "Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how often I have longed to gather you together, as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings." Show the panorama of Jerusalem seen from above, the dome of the rock, the Kidron Valley, and the Garden of Gethsemane just below. Focus on the thick roots of the olive trees, Indri, land mixed with small flowers, the same ground where the disciples lay down and where the shadow of the cross began. These trees still produce oil. One way or the other, memory of the anointing had never ceased. It's like looking at an ancient city and still feel the smell of the past. These trees are like silent grandmothers. They don't speak, but they teach. Its roots are living proof about what faith does not age, only deepens. Anyone who steps foot here understands the promise does not dry up with time. From the broad vista, we descend to a home, the place where faith became friendship and welcome, Bethany, the house that Jesus called a refuge. And when Jesus wasn't preaching, where did he rest? Among simple hills, a stone's throw from Jerusalem, stood Bethany, one small village of close people, where faith turned into friendship. This is where they lived, Martha, Mary, and Lazarus. And it was in this house that the gospel became human. Bethany was neither a palace nor a retreat, a common home, with tank, oven, open courtyard, and plentiful table. Ali, Jesus did not teach multitudes. He shared bread. John writes, Jesus loved Martha, Mary, and Lazarus. John 11:5. And this love transformed the routine into miracle. Show the tomb of Lazarus, carved in stone, the descent narrow and damp. Reveals the domestic walls, clay remains, limestone floors, clay pots. The environment still holds the feeling of ordinary life, smell of bread, light coming through the cracks. It was here that the impossible got up, and a family became witness. It's like visiting the house of a true friend, where you can be who you are, without masks. Faith needs places like this too. Refuges, no stages. Bethany remembers that God visits ordinary homes, and it is in them that the presence reveals itself. The proof is not on the walls, but in the affection that remained. From intimate dining to impressive engineering. Now we're going to Jericho, where the desert bloomed with intelligence and faith. How could a city flourish in the middle of the desert? The answer is under the sand. Excavated channels, ancient aqueducts, and traces of amazing engineering. Jericho was more than walls. It was practical intelligence, a mixture of faith and technique. Here, the water was tamed, and the impossible became routine. Jericho was called the city of palm trees, because where there was water, there was life. Jesus passed this way before Easter, the same path where Zacchaeus climbed the fig tree. The place shows that faith also builds, plans, irrigates, and does the unlikely to flourish. The proof is in the stone, and use channels that still resist heat. Show the excavated tell the pile of ancient ruins with hardened clay walls. Focus on use aqueducts cutting through the desert, still humid in parts. The stones are worn, but the system is clear. Entry, deviation, exit. The engineering is so precise that it resembles irrigation by modern drip irrigation, but made millennia ago. It's like a farm irrigation system, controlled without technology, only gravity and wisdom. Faith needs this too: constant flow, right direction, patience until it bears fruit. Jericho shows that the miracles don't always fall from the sky. Sometimes flows through the channel that we dig with faith. God did not hide the resources, He taught how to use them. Where the water ran, the sweat turned to blood. Now we enter the heaviest night, in a garden that heard the pain and silence of the Messiah, the Gethsemane. What really happened that night? Jesus sweated blood. The place is small, quiet, the Garden of Gethsemane, at the feet of the Mount of Olives. Here the air seems denser, and even the wind moves slowly, as ancient olive trees are still there, crooked, thick, with intertwined roots, as if they guard the echo of prayers. The Bible says, his sweat became like drops of blood falling to the ground, like 22 verse 44. Science calls hematidrose, when the body, under extreme stress, ruptures tiny vessels and the sweat mixes with blood. It was the body saying what the soul felt, anguish to the limit, but without retreating. And even here, in the midst of pain, Jesus said, "Thy will be done." Show the traditional rock of agony in the center of the current garden. Notice the floor texture, polished by centuries of kneeling pilgrims. Focus on the centuries-old olive trees, hollow trunks, silver leaves swaying in the soft light. Everything there seems to pray: stone, tree, wind. It's like living acrosis that explodes from within, where heart, mind, and body blend in a single cry. But Gethsemane reminds, faith is not the absence of pain, it is courage to remain. The olive tree can withstand felling, fire, drought, and even gives oil. This is how the soul that prays is. It suffers, but produces light. From the heaviest night, we reach the point where divided the story, the Golgotha, the place of the skull, where stone and silence witness the impossible. What remains of the place where history changed forever? The Golgotha, called place of the skull, was located on the side of a busy road. It was public, visible. No one could pretend they didn't see it. And a few meters away, a new tomb, carved into the rock, would hold the body of Jesus for just 3 days. Today, the site is within the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. Between corridors and domes, there is a small space called annex, the shelter of the tomb. Pilgrims wait hours to enter, touch the stone, kneel in silence. But the miracle is not in the tomb. It is in the fact that it is empty. Show facade of the annex, with its worn columns and the glow of the lamps, focuses on the contrast between the temple noise and the silence of the interior. Inside, the light reflects off the ancient stones, the same ones from the 1st century. The body is no longer there, and that's precisely its absence that became the most powerful proof of faith. It's like getting to the end of a road and find out that she continues inside you. Golgotha reminds us that the suffering was not the end, was the beginning of something new. The rolled stone not only opened the tomb, it opened the time, opened hope. And to this day, anyone who sets foot there feels the same. Death has lost its grip. Places have changed. Stones have worn away. But the message is still alive. And if every piece of evidence points to the past, the invitation of them is for now. We saw 10 real tests, stones, rivers, routes and paths that still tell the story of Jesus. Of Bethlehem to the Holy Sepulchre, everything changes around. Cities grow, walls fall, names are erased, but the purpose remains. Faith continues to cross centuries, like the Jordan River that follows the same path, curving, swerving, but never stopping. Perhaps what this evidence shows is not just archaeology, but a living message. God still chooses the simple, the imperfect, ethereal. The same ground that saw tears and blood today sees people like you and me, trying to understand, believe and walk. And every place says the same. Time passes, but love remains. Which of these tests had the biggest impact on you? A manger in Bethlehem, the jellyfish ofBanyan, or the empty tomb in Jerusalem? Write in the comments. I read every single one. And if this video helped you see the Bible with new eyes, subscribe, because the next one takes you even deeper. If today you saw evidence in the places of Jesus, in the next video you will enter the temple construction site, the work of bricklayers, as loot, as strings and marks on the stones that reveal how those giant walls actually went up. Click on the screen and walk through the backstage gate with me